Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is a question about supplements. So one of the listeners asked a question in regards to, are supplements necessary? So they had asked in kind of like more of a general way, meaning that they didn't really want to know any specific supplements. They just kind of wanted to know if they were maybe missing out on results or progress since they weren't taking any supplements. And I've also had other clients when I start working with them, and they'll kind of wonder why maybe I don't send them a supplement list like trainers have in the past for them. And generally, I figured I'd answer this. And then if somebody had specifics about any, specific supplement, we can address that in a separate podcast. So if after you listen to this one, you want to know about a specific supplement, let me know. And I'll either send you the information if I don't think it's maybe worthy of a full podcast, or maybe we'll throw it up and answer it as a full podcast as well. So please, let us know if there's more you want to know after this podcast, okay? So generally speaking, do you need supplements in order to reach your goals? Now, let's say your goal is fat loss. So you're trying to quote unquote lose some weight. Maybe you want to lose 30 pounds. Or your goal is to build muscle tissue. So you want to gain maybe this year you want to try to gain 10, 15 pounds and have it look good and lean, like a good, strong, lean gain. Then you also want to have maybe strength as a goal, performance as a goal. So when we say, do you need supplements to reach your goal, we're not only talking about weight loss. So this includes all other goals. And generally the answer is no. So sleep, food, and proper training structures are going to be all you really need to reach most goals. And specifically, it's going to help most people get from wherever they are to above average, if not near elite, before they would really actually need supplements. So I've helped people get pro cards in aesthetic sports. I've helped people win state and national records in powerlifting and strength stuff. And I've helped people lose a ton of weight, tons and tons and tons of those clients. So in all of those cases, very rarely did we ever use supplements. So in fat loss progress, in terms of getting somebody on stage, we will use like a thermogenic aid and maybe a couple odds and ends here and there about the last 6 to 8 weeks before a competition. But we don't ever really use them during the prep. And I don't really use supplements for strength athletes. We don't really use supplements for performance. So like I've helped some CrossFit people in competitions, and really the only thing I've ever used on a semi-regular basis is if anybody has ever had like a history of like asthma or something, we've used something called Broncaid, which is like a vasodilator, which helps you kind of well, I guess not vasodilator, but it helps open up the airways in the lungs. Let's just say that. So there are some odds and ends, little supplements here and there, but in the grand scheme of things, do you need supplements to make progress? The answer is no. So if you go to a trainer and they say, here's a list of 8 supplements I need you to buy, it's not a good sign. That really isn't. Especially if they're the ones selling them to you, okay? So don't do that. Or if the club you're going to or the gym you're going to sells them, don't do that, okay? You really don't need supplements in order to make progress. Now, in certain specific cases, are they helpful? Absolutely. Yes. So I used to work for a supplement store for a couple years whenever I was doing my grad school. And I actually worked at a supplement store. I didn't think about that till right now when I was younger. So when I was in my undergrad, I worked at a place that sold supplements and stuff. And I very happily and with ease of conscience sold the supplements, but I made sure they were ones that I knew how they worked. I've taken them myself. The person was an actual like prime candidate for them. So I've also the place I most recently worked at was Rock Hill Nutrition here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The owner is Steve Wayman, freaking awesome guy, great character, great knowledge, all around the best dude you're gonna find in order to get supplement advice from. So if you're in the Rock Hill area, please go to Rock Hill Nutrition and see Steve Wayman. So he actually allowed me to deny people sales. So if they came in with a long list and I didn't think it was necessary, we actually told them no, and we wouldn't sell them certain things. If they asked for certain things that we didn't think were actually that useful, we've told them no. So if somebody came in, for example, and they wanted a fat burner, but you started asking them questions about their nutrition and they had just horrible nutrition and or an inappropriate structure, and or they weren't exercising at all, then we would tell them no. We wouldn't have to sell. I wouldn't sell them anything, and we would just tell them to get that stuff in place first, and then the fat burner might be an aid on top of that. And Steve was totally fine with me not making sales, which is awesome. So he didn't want that guilty conscience on him either. So it's rare that you're going to find somebody who will turn down money because it's what's best for the person in front of them and best for their customer. So when you do find that, that's when you know you can trust the person. So in specific cases, they are helpful. So let's talk about some of those specific cases. So one of the ones that I believe in and I would promote people to get is vitamin D3. Vitamin D3, you get it through like sunlight exposure, you get it through different dairy foods and fortified foods and blah, 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 blah. But often people don't get enough vitamin D3. And vitamin D3 is connected with hormones and mood, among other things. And it's super freaking cheap. So I think it only costs you like 10 cents a day to be able to have enough vitamin D3 coming through like supplements in combination with your food. In the last major study they did, which you don't know, like if you do a study and they say 88% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D3, we don't know if it's, 88% or maybe 60%, or you don't really know exactly how accurate that is. So you just have to take it at its word. So if they've done studies under the same parameters and only 5% of people are deficient in something, that tells you it's probably not necessary. But in the last study I read for vitamin D3, it was actually 88% of people don't get enough vitamin D3. And like I said, that can be connected with mood. So we wonder, is it playing a small role in the increase of depression that tends to be kind of, it feels like depression is more common in today's age than it would have been in the past. Who knows? So all this stuff is kind of up in the air. But if you have an opportunity to take a very cheap, very safe supplement that may help your mood, why the hell wouldn't you? And the same thing with hormones. So I talk with guys and girls now in their 20s and 30s and 40s who have hormone issues. So I was talking to the guy recently. He was only, I think, late 20s. I believe he's like 27, 28, 29. And his testosterone level was only in the 200s. So his testosterone should be between 800 and 1100 in the test that we were reading. And his testosterone was only in the 200s. So which is not good at all. That's horrible. So he's going to get some hormonal assistance, and he wasn't taking anything like vitamin D3, wasn't eating a lot of like red meats, which have a lot of hormonal benefits to them. So there's a bunch of stuff in his diet he could have been doing a little better, but would that have made up, 600 points in testosterone? No, probably not. So in combination with the hormone therapy, he's going to now be making some nutritional changes. So we're going to kind of dive into that. But something like vitamin D3 does have positive effects on hormones, males and females, and it does have positive effect on mood. And taking a supplement of, say, 5,000 IUs a day, which is a little on the higher end because they make them in 1,000 and 2,000 IUs, but I think 5,000 is definitely more appropriate given the deficiency of most people, and it's super cheap. So that's one that I actually recommend for people. And it's always like a to each their own type thing. So if someone asks me my opinion, I will tell you my opinion, but it's an opinion. You don't have to do it. So I'm still going to obviously work with clients even if they don't take my advice on supplements in regards to taking vitamin D3 or not. But sometimes people take it. Every once in a while, people will report feeling better in a mood or maybe seeing an effect in their hormones. But more commonly, it's something like a multivitamin where you just generally don't feel like a very significant abrupt change in health. You just report your health being better overall. So if somebody's like, oh, I normally get sick, 4, 5, 6 times a year, but I started taking vitamin D3 and vitamin and like a multivitamin and mineral supplement, and then all of a sudden, maybe the next year they only get sick once or twice. So it kind of has effects like that, where it's a slow effect in the sense of you're not going to get a big, abrupt, noticeable impact, but you're going to notice small things here and there. So you have a little more energy at the end of the week than you used to, or you get a little less sickness and coughs and stuff like that than you used to. So you don't feel maybe as run down as you used to. So it just has small changes like that. So that's one I recommend. Another one is the multivitamin or multi-mineral type supplement. So, and the reason why is because you're going to only be able to get full vitamins and minerals if you have a very wide variety of foods and you have a well-balanced intake of various foods. And that isn't very common in today's day and age, that people are going to have a balanced intake and a variety. So we tend to favor certain foods more commonly than others, and we tend to kind of fall into kind of grooves of food rather than being a wide variety. So I think a multivitamin and multimineral is helpful. Some people will say, I read a study that said, it burns up in your stomach acid and you don't really get this and this and this and that and that and that. Ugh, there's like 4 million studies for everything. So you can find a study to say anything you want to say. So part of my degrees in education is understanding research studies, and I've done hours and hours of analysis on research studies. And one of the assignments, like of many different assignments we had, was to pick theories. So we had an entire class on picking a theory per week, and then you had to find 3 research articles that disproved it, 3 that proved it. And every single week for an entire school year, you were able to do that. So there are studies that disprove everything. But in general, there's going to be more studies that say taking a multivitamin and multimineral supplement are helpful. And then there are going to be the ones that say it doesn't help. So it is something that, again, that's cheap and effective, and it's something you can take. So sometimes you'll hear people talk about taking specific vitamins or minerals. So we just talked about vitamin D3. So that's an example of a specific one that you might want to add on top of a multivitamin supplement. Some people also take extra vitamin C when they're feeling run down or they're not getting a lot of sleep. So that way it helps to help build their immune system and keep off some sicknesses and stuff like that. Some people will take a vitamin B complex for extra energy. So if they feel like they kind of have low energy or just kind of like bleh feeling, they could take extra vitamin B through a vitamin B complex type supplement, and that helps with energy. And that's nice because it's not caffeine based. It's something that's a little bit more quote unquote natural. So another one we have is magnesium, which can help people sleep. And you hear people taking iron to help with kind of like blood health. So if you have women who are low intake of calories and a low amount of muscle tissue, them taking iron helps a lot. So there are specific cases of vitamins and minerals that you would want to take extra of the individual one. But in general, do vitamins and minerals help? Yes. So those are the supplements that I do recommend when people have the specific need for them, is a type of mineral or vitamin. So what about other ones? So a common one we hear about is protein powder. So protein powder is a supplement. And even though it's derived from real food, it is in a kind of a supplement form when it's in a powder form. So are protein powders necessary? No. So I actually don't take protein powder. I haven't used protein powder in probably like 2 or 3 years. I just eat solid food all the time. I drink whole milk while I work out. So I don't really need the protein powder. So I tend not to take it. And if your lifestyle fits that you can eat solid food correctly before your workout, maybe even have an intra-workout drink and then have solid food after your workout, there would be no need for a protein powder. However, for some people, their lifestyle dictates a difference, and maybe protein powder is super helpful. So I know a lot of people, they make smoothies and kind of shakes in the morning because they don't like solid food. They want something just fast they can drink on the way to work. So they'll blend up some vegetables, some fruit, and maybe throw a scoop of protein powder in there to make sure that that meal has protein in it. So that's an example of a good use of protein powder. Sometimes people mix it with oatmeal. So I used to eat oats and have that as like a meal in the morning. And sometimes it's kind of like maybe time wise or for whatever reason, I didn't want to have eggs and oats. So I'll just throw a scoop of protein powder into it, into the oatmeal, and blend it all in. And it kind of worked. It gave me my protein plus my carbs of the oatmeal. And then some people will use protein powder post workout because they don't have access to whole foods immediately after the workout. So if it's going to be an hour or two until they eat, then having a protein powder after the workout to kind of give your body that protein it needs for repair and recovery until you get to solid food is an okay thing. That's fine. So protein powder is something that you definitely don't need it. So if you can get whole food, just eat whole food. You don't have to have a protein powder. But if it would help you fill in the gaps of things nutritionally, then sure, it's fine. It's a good thing. So another one that came up recently with a client was creatine. So creatine is supposed to help with strength, and in a roundabout way, it'll help build muscle tissue. There's a large assumption behind that, but that's what it's usually advertised as, is strength and increased muscle mass. And it's really not necessary at all. I have very little success with it in terms of clients who took it and it felt like it was earth shattering, and we absolutely wanted to stick with the protocol of 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off, 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off, to where we set our schedule to it, and every 8 weeks we made sure we were starting it over again. It was very minimal in terms of effectiveness. So some people are going to like to do it because it makes them feel like they're doing something. So sure, fine, and plus it's cheap, so go for it. But is it absolutely necessary? No. So I have strength athletes who've set national and state records who never took an ounce of creatine. The most effective supplements for strength are sleep, food, and good technique. So something like creatine, can it make maybe a 1% difference? I would argue that it even would make a 1% difference. So probably isn't even going to be that. So there are other better performance aids than creatine. So I don't think it's really that important. I don't think it's that useful. However, if you are taking it, do you have to stop it? No. You can use it. But if you're not using it, is it worth spending the money? Nah. I would rather see you spend the money on like vitamin D3 or a multivitamin or something like that. So it has more like universal overall health benefit. What about fat burners? So fat burners are really just caffeine and some type of natural diuretic. So it's just extra energy to make you jittery and make you move around more. And the diuretic helps you look at like the scale and say, oh wow, I started this fat burner and I lost 2 pounds. You didn't lose 2 pounds of fat, you lost 2 pounds of water. Okay? But if you see the scale go down 2 pounds and now you have this extra energy due to the caffeine, you're more likely to get off your ass and actually exercise. So fat burners can be motivation, but do they actually burn fat? No. Okay, so fat burners are pretty much useless in my opinion, except for if the person knows for a fact that it's just a placebo and it's just going to make them feel good. Then I'll tell them, okay, if you're starting a diet and you want some extra motivation, take it. But only take it for 6 weeks or so, and then understand that really all you're getting is a water weight loss, a little bit of caffeine, so it's not really actually helping you burn fat. But if you want it because it almost like motivates you to keep going, or like, okay, I spent $40 in a supplement, I have to stick with my food, I have to stick with my training. If it works that way, fine, I don't care. But are you actually going to get fat burning results from a fat burner? No, not at all. Okay. So as we get closer to a show with aesthetic athletes, do we sometimes use fat burners? Yes. And part of the reason why is we want a little bit of the caffeine. We want a boost of energy around their workouts. There are other things I use to help regulate water control. So it has little benefits here and there, but it's not really something you should use on a regular basis. And it's not something you should use until the very end of a long diet process. So what about pre-workouts? So we recently did a little podcast about pre-workout energy ideas. And pre-workouts are absolutely not necessary. And more often than not, they're just a placebo effect. So you're going to take it and feel like you should have energy. So therefore, you'll feel like you have energy and you're going to want to work out. So energy-based pre-workouts. If you're taking a pre-workout because you just never have energy, you need to look how to sleep better, better sleep health, okay? And you need to learn how to eat better to optimize your performance and like energy levels for the workout. So for example, if you ate breakfast, got super busy at work, ate some shit lunch, got super busy in the afternoon, and now you're rolling into the gym at 5 o'clock at night and you're like, I'm going to take my pre-workout, I have no energy. Well, you're a dumbass. You haven't eaten well all damn day, and now you're going to shove caffeine down your face. Caffeine is going to mask the fact that you have no actual energy. You're going to get the workout in, but then you're going to be jittery as hell. Your body's going to be so far behind and beat up and tired and worn out because it didn't have enough food in it. So then you're going to have sleep troubles, and then you go through the same damn process the next day. So it's better to get better pattern of sleep and focus on better nutrition before you would take a pre-workout for energy. Now, what about a pre-workout for mental focus? So they do make pre-workouts to help you kind of stay focused in your workout. Well, organize your life better. Holy shit. Why would you take like if you can't work out because you can't get your mind off your to-do list and all this other shit you have to do, learn how to organize your mind before you take a pill just to kind of mask over that. Because that underlying stress is still going to be there on the other 23 hours of the day. So it's better for you to learn how to organize your mind so that way you can turn off the mind and focus in on what you need to do when you need to do it. So just like you would want to focus in on a business meeting or focus in on a conversation with a loved one, you should be able to focus in on a workout. And that should not need supplements to do that. Okay? You shouldn't need a pill to be focused in on a conversation with a loved one. You shouldn't need a pill to be focused in on things in life. So learning how to organize your mind and organize your life is going to be a lot better. Now, are those tall tasks to ask of you? Yes. Okay. But if you just take a pre-workout, you're just putting off and delaying the process of trying to learn how to sleep better, learn how to eat better, or learn how to organize your life better. You're still going to have all the problems of those things on the other 23 hours of the day. But you can take this pill or this powder and have a good workout. Well, that's not really the best answer, okay? So try to make improvements on sleep, food, and mental organization, and then you won't need the pre-workout. And it'll help you in all other 23 hours of the day, okay? So the last specific one we have here is joint health. So if somebody does have some joint aches and pains, those should really only be temporary. If you always have like an elbow bugging you or always have a knee bugging you or a hip or something like that, then your programming and your exercise selection, the way you're exercising, isn't correct. So exercise is meant to build your body up. So you're either not eating properly and you're wearing out your body when you exercise, which is very, very, very common. Or somebody has just too aggressive of a style of training and they're overusing a joint in a specific pathway. So it's better to look at your training programming and say, why am I hurting? And then look at that first before you take a joint supplement all the time. So I'm 35 years old. I've torn 17 muscles, 6 ligaments, broken bones when I worked out. It's all been related to like sleep issues and some other odds and ends of medical conditions and whatnot. But I don't take any joint supplements. I don't have any aches and pains that I can't work around or program around. So it's something that if you have a chronic issue, you need to program. You need to look at your program and see what you're doing wrong. Okay, nutrition or programming wise. If you have a temporary issue, then taking a joint supplement, one of my favorite ones is from the company called Animal Universal Nutrition. They have one called Flex. That is one of the best ones ever because it seems to work for any issue whatsoever. Is if somebody's having a bad knee, take the Animal Flex for a month or two, and all of a sudden the knee feels better if your programming and nutrition are correct, and then you don't need to take it again. So can a joint supplement help you get over the hump of the joints hurting? Yes. But it shouldn't be a chronic take for the rest of your life type thing. Okay? So, in general, if you're a generally healthy human being and you don't have a medically specific need for a supplement, then are supplements necessary? No. But can they be helpful for specific situations? Yes. So, for example, I do take a vitamin D3. I think that's helpful because even though I drink like a gallon of milk a day, I don't want to be deficient in vitamin D3 if it has positive effect on hormones and mood. I'm already a grumpy dude sometimes, so it's helpful for me to have a good mood. So I like taking it just because if it does have any effect, I like the possibility of the effect, so I'll take them. So I do take a multivitamin and mineral supplement as well. And then I do take Broncaid because I have a history of asthma. I had a lot of asthma when I was a child. I was actually in the hospital for weeks on end with asthma when I was a child. And I quote unquote grew out of it. But I think that's partly true, and then partly you just grow to get used to it. So you're just used to being slightly miserable and wheezy and can't breathe when you work out. So I do take a Broncaid pill when I know I'm doing a workout that's aerobically based, or if I'm trying to get past like a cough or a cold or something, I'll take Broncaid the couple workouts right after that to just help me breathe better. So that's what I take. So you can see is there's a general ones, the vitamin D3 and multivitamin, and then there's specific one like the Broncaid that I need in certain cases in certain situations. So that is a very, very broad-based touch on supplements. So the main point of this podcast was, are supplements necessary? The answer is no. So if anyone tells you in order to reach your goal you have to take X, Y, and Z, no. They are wrong. They either don't know, they're ignorant and they don't know the truth, or they're trying to sell you that supplement. They're trying to sell you X, Y, and Z. So you don't need that stuff. You absolutely can reach all of your goals. So even like records and pro cards without supplements. Can supplements help though? Yes, absolutely. They can help in various situations. They can help kind of like in the little nuances of things here and there. They can help with just overall general health. So there are helpful supplements, but no supplement is actually necessary. Okay? So if you've listened to this and you have a specific supplement question, please email us. Our email is brutalironjim@gmail.com. I'll get you the answer or from myself, or I'll get it from someone smarter than me, but I'll make sure you get the answer that you want. Okay? So thank you for listening to this, and hopefully it did help you, and maybe it helped kind of relieve some concern you had over whether you should be having the supplements or not, but maybe you're having some financial restrictions. So you absolutely do not need to spend money on supplements. Not at all. Okay? So they're fun little aids here and there when you need them and if you have the finances for them, but they're absolutely not a necessity. Just focus on good sleep, good nutrition, good programming, okay? And then also just some mental balance that way you're not hyper stressed all the time. So that stuff is going to go way further. So I'd rather see you spend $10 on a book about mental health than $10 on a supplement. Okay? And I can tell you firsthand, from all the money I've ever spent on supplements versus all the money I've ever spent on books, oh my God, it's not even comparable. Books are way, way more helpful, infinitely more helpful than supplements. Okay? So try to perfect your life before you try to perfect your supplement cabinet. Okay? So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. And you can tell us at our email, brutalironjim@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.